All right. Good evening and welcome to the 2025 Candidate Forum for West Bend's Common Council, District 2 Alderperson, and the West Bend School Board. Tonight's forum is presented by the West Bend Area Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters of Ozaukee and Washington Counties in partnership with the City of West Bend. My name is Andy Niebler. I'm a partner at the Witt Law Firm and a proud member of the West Bend Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, as well as I was the past chairman of the board. It is my privilege to serve as this evening's moderator on behalf of the Chamber and the League of Women Voters. I extend a warm welcome to both of our candidates and our audience. As the largest business association in Washington County, the West Bend Chamber of Commerce represents 500 local businesses. The Chamber's mission is to promote, advocate, and connect and educate its members, fostering a thriving business community that benefits the entire West Bend area and its residents. We encourage business owners to join the Chamber to support initiatives such as tonight's forum. Both the West Bend Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters are nonpartisan organizations and neither endorses any candidates. Tonight's forum is being live streamed and recorded by West Bend Community Television. The recording will be available on demand via the West Bend Community Television website, with links also provided by the Chamber and the League websites. This election includes 4 aldermanic district seats, with District 2 being only contested race. Additionally, 2 seats of the West Bend School Board are up for election, with 3 candidates vying for these positions. This evening, we will hear from the 2 candidates for District 2 alderperson first, and then the 3 candidates for the West Bend School Board. Questions for the forum were solicited in advance from the public through announcements in local newspapers, the League of Women Voters website, and the League's Facebook page. The League and Chamber review, categorize, and selected questions relevant to the positions being contested. The primary goal of this forum is to provide voters with an opportunity to learn more about the candidates, understand their perspectives, and make informed decisions for the polls on Election Day on Tuesday, April 1st. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to an informative discussion. The format for tonight's forum will be as follows. All candidates will be seated alphabetically at the dais in the Chamber Council. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening remarks and 2 minutes for closing remarks. The candidates will be asked questions by the forum, myself, and questions that none of the candidates have been provided any of the questions in advance. Each candidate will have a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to each question, and candidates will be asked the questions in rotating order. The West Bend Chamber of Commerce is committed to providing a professional, courteous, and impartial environment where candidates can share their views with the voters of West Bend. We appreciate the candidates' cooperation in adhering to these time constraints and yielding the floor when directed. With that, we will now begin the candidate forum for the West Bend District 2 alderperson. Welcome, candidates. We have Rhett Engelking and Michael Hartwell. Gentlemen, we will start with opening remarks. For the first person to provide opening remarks, I would request that Rhett, you would provide those first.
Thank you. And thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. Good evening to those watching live stream. Hi, Sophie and Zane Lath, boys watching at home. My name is Rhett Engelking. I'm running for District 2 Alderman. And I grew up in this community. I went to St. Francis Cabrini, and I used to walk to the high school and the middle school to meet my parents after school, played in the Little League. I currently am a family therapist with Washington County, And that blesses me to be in the homes of people in not just West Bend, but our surrounding municipalities. And I get to see the everyday life of a lot of the families and help them navigate some of those struggles. I also have lived in the community for about 3 years, and or returned to the community, I should say, and in that time, I've wanted to make as much impact as I could in that short time, and that's involved reviving an Adopt a Highway program. It's involved setting up a scholarship for students at West to go to Moraine Park Technical College, and just to be involved in whatever service opportunities become available. I'm running for alderman primarily because I want to be able to respond to the problems I see in the community and support what's going well. I want to strengthen public safety. I want to improve roads and infrastructure, and I want to advocate for small businesses and downtown vibrancy. Most importantly, I want there to be transparency and integrity in local government, and want to keep West Bend a place where people want to plant roots and raise their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Michael, please.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here this evening. It's a great opportunity to put our word out to the public so they make an informed decision when they vote. Thank you to the Chamber and the League of Women Voters for having us here, and the city for providing the site. As I said, I'm Mike Hartwell. I've lived and worked in the community for about 38 years now. I'm retired from the police department about 9 years ago, where I served for 28 years. I'm also a 20-year military veteran. Over that time frame, I've served on many boards, committees, fundraisers, too many to name in 2 minutes sitting here. One of those boards years ago was sitting on the board for the Chamber after going through the leadership program back in 2012, and that was eye-opening as well as going through that leadership program. Currently, I serve on the board out at the Senior Activity Center, the Optimist Club of West Bend, and the American Legion, where I'm a member as well. I also serve right now as a 4-H leader teaching a project. I'm also a hunter safety instructor. I've been involved in scouting troops in the past, a variety of things trying to make the community a better place, including teaching DARE in our schools. 2 years ago, I moved into District 2 when my wife and I had the opportunity to build our retirement home. We literally could have built that home anywhere and moved where we wanted to, as I was in retirement and she was approaching retirement. We chose to move into District 2 because we love West Bend. From the day that I set foot in West Bend back in 1987, I knew this is a great community where I wanted to raise my family. Running for alderman is a key to what my wife and I, before she passed away, talked about, that I always wanted to get back involved in the city government. So as an alderman sitting here, anybody can talk about taxes, roads, infrastructure, business development, all of those things. They're a common denominator. My number one priority, and it always has been, is public safety, both on the fire department side and the police department. We have fantastic departments that are emulated by other agencies around the communities, and we need to continue that, because it doesn't matter how good our roads are, or what our tax base is, or what businesses we have. People won't come and live in West Bend unless they feel safe in doing so.
All right, thank you very much, Michael. So we will move on to the questions with the first question. And for the first question, I will ask that Michael answers first, and then Rhett, you have a chance to answer. First question is, what is the thing that made you decide to run for this position?
As I mentioned before, I've always had a desire from when I retired from the police department to get back involved in city government, and it was a push that my late wife and I had talked about previously many times. The big thing for me is experience matters. I'm coming into this potential position with a lot of experience in working with the city, working with the different departments within the city, and knowing where the city has been and where it potentially can go in the future. I don't want to see the city make mistakes that they've made in the past. And the example I'll give on that is the South Industrial Park. After that park went in, the city approved a development to the south side of that park. That led to hundreds or dozens, if not hundreds, of noise complaints from that subdivision because of the constant pounding from one of the businesses in that park. Now the city is looking at doing the same type of thing with TID 17 behind Walmart, where they've allocated now 35% to be residential. Did we not learn anything from what we experienced in the South Industrial Park? Or are we gonna make the same mistake again to where we create a problem? The answer I've gotten from the city so far is, well, it's up to the developer to create a berm or something. That's not good enough. We need to research it better and do a better job in our development within the city. We can't just spend money for the sake of spending money. I've seen improvements to the roads that have been made, paid by grants, but they didn't necessarily make things better, but the money was spent. And I don't want to see us make those mistakes. And I think that's where experience in having worked with the city and all the departments and different things comes into play.
Thank you. Rhett?
Well, I think it's two things for me, actually. The first is once I took up residence here, I remember just driving down the same patch of road every day to work on Poplar Street and right near the library. Those who've traveled to know, it's disheveled, and I guess I had a question: how do you get a road repaired? And I looked at the county study, 2050 study, and they said that we need to allocate a certain amount every year. I think the figure was 5.5 million last I read, and we were only advocating 2, and so we weren't meeting what was necessary to do that. So that was the first thing. Just concerned about what's going to happen to the undercarriage of my car as I'm driving by. But the second is part of why I moved back to West Bend, and why public safety is a priority for me. It's been tough to talk about the loss of my dad, but I really have appreciated the response that I got from some of the local law enforcement, some time ago. But I know that I got involved as a therapist because when it comes to public safety, it's not just about having good responders, which I agree we absolutely have great response in West Bend. It's also about a community that supports people, that is friendly, neighborly, less division, and one that just doesn't ignore the problems that are in there. So I want to run because I want to be a responsive alderman. I want to be a person who's listening when other people aren't. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Recently, the city administrator resigned, but with change comes opportunity. What opportunities do you see emerging with this change? And Rhett, I would direct this question to you first.
What opportunities? Well, I think that I personally have appreciated all I've heard and all I've witnessed of our outgoing city administrator, and I would say that there are big shoes to fill. Being elected alderperson for District 2 means that we're going to be involved in selecting the next person, and I think that West Bend seems to be on the precipice of a lot of big changes. We really just finished a big overhaul of the downtown, and we're about to have another season of the farmers market and all these things that bring economic activity. And we have proposals about things like a conference center downtown to attract more business. And I guess I want to see the next city administrator be prepared to, tackle big challenges and be a bit of a visionary, and but also somebody who really can encapsulate the kind of values that West Bend has had for as long as I've been around, and basically set a firm ground for the future that again is smart and and receptive to really what's brewing here in West Bend. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Sure. Just so there's a clear understanding for the public, the council isn't selecting the next administrator. They're ultimately giving the approval for the administrator. The council has approved an outside firm to search for that administrator, which I think is a very good decision so that they're getting that far reach and finding the right person for the fit. Our previous administrator, as Rhett mentioned, did a great job while he was here for the eight and a half years. You know, we saw the downtown go through the restoration, and obviously we represent downtown, so that's a big part of what we're here for. But in that new city administrator, I'm relying on that firm to look for those qualities. They're gonna bring the right person to the job, but more importantly, that person, beside a new vision, a different vision for West Bend, not going a different direction, but working outside that box of where we've kind of channeled into, okay, this is what we're doing. Is there something more that we can do and enlighten and build on what we've already got going and take it from there?
Thank you. As a follow-up to the previous question, if elected, one of your first responsibilities is to hire the city administrator. What attributes, skills, and experience would you be looking for in the new city administrator? And Michael, I'll let you go first.
Sure, and I just kind of touched on that with the outside firm, looking at that. The big thing that if I were part of that firm looking for it is communication skills to be able to communicate with the department heads and the community and the businesses as a whole. Need someone who has a vision, who has experience working in that role previously. We don't want somebody coming in and getting their feet wet and essentially messing things up. So someone with experience, communication skills, insight as to where the city needs to go, and maybe some new ideas of what directions we can go to build upon what we have.
Thank you, Michael. Rhett?
I think, I had an opportunity to talk with Jay Chambeau one time, and he told me regularly puts in 70 hours a week. So I think the first attribute is you got to be ready for hard work and enjoy it if you can. The second is I think it's really important to have a person of integrity. To some degree, that's a little bit of a, an intangible thing, but I think for me, integrity is really basically is what you're thinking, what you're saying, and what you're doing the same thing. You know, any kind of double talk, shiftiness, that's not what you want. You want somebody who you tell them what's needed, and they can straightforwardly tell you what they can do about it. In that same sense, I in as much transparency as possible, I think is really important, and I think this is somewhat connected to integrity. Humility, I think, is really important to any public leader. You know what you know, and don't pretend to know what you don't know, but recognize if there's an opportunity to learn more, that's an opportunity to get more people involved and the craft the kind of future for our city that gets more people in the mix and isn't just top down, but really talks to the business community, talks to law enforcement, talks to struggling people in the community, but really tries to find that happy medium. So those are the qualities I guess I'd be looking for.
Thank you. Next question. The citizens from District 2 would like to know how you will balance the needs of the residents of District 2 with that of the downtown business owners. And Rhett, I would ask that you would answer this one first.
Well, I guess I would say I would have a bias towards the residents of District 2. And it's not that I have anything against our wonderful small businesses, but even those businesses depend on what's going on with our residents. I've said before, but I would just reiterate, I think a priority for me is just to be as responsive as possible. And in that way, find new ways for residents to communicate their concerns and needs and share that information openly with other members other members of the council and government, but even local businesses, because I think that the businesses are gonna be serving the needs of the people who are the closest by, and those people closest by are the people who are gonna be sitting in the bars, or the people who are gonna be shopping in the stores, or the people who are gonna do the everyday stuff. And I think if you talk to any of the business leaders, they want to keep local residents happy. So, so I guess I would say I definitely want to see our downtown thrive for the sake of West Bend and its tax base and its attractiveness. But for the most part, I think that starts with having local residents who have some ownership in their community and in the downtown.
Thank you. Michael?
Sure. As an elected official, obviously the first number one thing is the residents. Those are the people who voted for us and put us in office. The business district is represented by the bid district downtown, and they have that separate body, which the District 2 alderman currently serves as a part of for that voice. But the underlying voters that put us in office are the ones that we're essentially loyal to.
Okay, thank you. So next, I will direct and ask Michael that you answer this first. What is the most important issue facing your district, and how will you address it if elected?
Well, it's not just facing my district, it's facing the entire city. And aside from, like I talked about in my opening comments of public safety being my number one thing, because it doesn't matter how good the roads are really a top priority. You hear it on almost every door you knock on, people you talk to about the condition of the roads. Somebody just told me, we need to update Chestnut Street runs in front of McLean School, and the standing joke back and forth was, well, those serve as speed bumps. Well, we don't need speed bumps being potholes in the city. So we need to do something, but there needs to be a plan in place so that we're making sure that the roads that are being repaired are the ones that need it the most based upon usage, traffic volume. Another example of 15th Avenue where it goes down to Silverbrook School. It's purely a residential area, but yet it has the heavy traffic from the buses on a daily basis, 2 times a day. So that would be the number one thing, but it's working with the other aldermen and the other departments and putting together a plan on how you're going to resolve that. And obviously, the money is the number one thing that you need to have to do that, and I didn't bring a money tree with me.
Thank you. Brett?
I would absolutely agree that probably the most pressing issue that I've heard from constituents has to do with roads and infrastructure. As I think I said previously, there's a concern that what's needed is not necessarily consistent with what we have. The same person saying, "Yeah, we need to repair the roads," is also saying we need to lower taxes. And I'm not necessarily saying that I think that the answer is to raise taxes, but we have to be creative and we have to be engaged in ways that we can get that road repaired, we can get that infrastructure rebuilt by using the tools that we have at our disposal. One of those tools is tax incremental financing, and another is finding creative ways to engage our residents in ownership over the issue. So it would be interesting to survey residents another time and see if they would be willing to do a targeted repair of some of the roads and so forth. But before doing that, I think that's really our responsibility to really communicate the essence of the issues. As alder persons, that's part of our job. If something needs to be done, it needs to be done. We can't be messing up our fire trucks on dilapidated roads, because that's another expense we have, the fire trucks. So how do we get the local community to take ownership over the issue, the same way a church pays for a roof by doing fundraising even. Thanks.
Thank you. This question will be first directed to Rhett. What unique skills and experiences do you bring to the Common Council that you think will be helpful to your constituents?
When I think of my life before becoming a therapist, I would say I was sort of the jack of all trades but master of none. And when I talk to residents about, well, so I'm a family therapist, they're like, well, what does that have to do with being an alderman? And I have to translate that. To me, I feel like it has everything to do with it. The skills that I practice in my profession are listening skills, right? They're getting to the heart of the matter. They're also conflict resolution. If one group of residents has this opinion, another group has this opinion, my job as a therapist is to facilitate this third position where everything works together. I also have the unique vantage point of being in the homes of our constituents, and not just for one day or for one responsive call. I work with the families. I work with them for 6 to 9 months. So I've seen a lot of the ups and downs. And there are things that are within the family's problems, and then there's things that are like, maybe the community could address it. I should also say, I work for the county, which some people might not like, but the advantage I see of it is I share a building with people who, on a daily basis, interact with our city. The parks that we have for the county are also in West Bend. The people who we have the sheriff's department. We have all kinds of individuals and services that could really use a person interfacing between them. What I've learned a lot about city government lately is simply that we could do a lot better in City West Bend if we had a better relationship with the county and a more kind of collaborative and shared approach. Thanks.
Thank you. Michael?
Could you repeat the question,
Yes.
please?
Yeah, and if you guys ever need me to repeat the question, just ask. Thank you. What unique skills and experience do you bring to the Common Council that you think will be helpful to your constituents?
I touched on it before about the experience of having worked within this building closely with the city, with the various departments within the city. But even beyond that, I've been through a number of leadership trainings through the military, from OCS, several NCO academies. I've been through the leadership with the chamber, enlightening other things that are going on around the community. So it's that cross material of experience that I bring to the table of not just limiting myself to one area. As a police officer, listening is always a key. But more importantly, beyond listening, is letting the person talk, but then following up and taking action on what you've learned. Too many times we see people make quick decisions without gathering all the information because they would just want to go with the flow, or they just want to let it fit in. And I think thorough research and that background of looking at things from an investigative standpoint, so to speak, is important to be able to gather the information necessary in order to make informed decisions.
Thank you. For the next question, and Michael, I'll direct this to you first. What do you think the city of West Bend should look like in 10 years?
Hopefully it still looks like West Bend. In the time that I've been here, West Bend has grown by about 10 to 12,000 people. And when I applied to West Bend, my target agency to get onto a police department was a department between 25 and 75,000 people. West Bend was right around 21,000 at the time. So I've seen the growth within West Bend from 87 till now of that 10 to 12,000. But the way things are growing, I think it'll continue to grow, and we'll be pushing that 40,000 mark within that time period that you're talking about. Through that, there has to be cooperation with the surrounding municipalities, because there's obviously annexation that will take place in that growth and development, and you have to work closely with those other government bodies to make it go smoothly. But you also have to continue to build within the network of services that you provide within the city without cutting our existing residents short as you continue that development.
Thank you. Rhett?
Well, I hope a great deal of West Bend in 10 years looks a lot like me or younger. You know, I would like to see more, you know, folks who went to school here and left come back, plant roots. You know, live next to their grandparents. You know, I'd love to see more families taking root here in West Bend. I would like to see us address some of the blights we have in West Bend. I'd like to see, you know, the old brake factory gone, and maybe a park or maybe some beautiful houses in its place in 10 years. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see clean streets, and I'd love to see children, you know, more children. I'd also like to see my oldest graduate from high school in 10 years. And I'd like to see less division. I feel like there's a national trend towards dividing people, one camp or the other, and I feel like West Bend could sort of go against the grain of that trend. We could be the type of community where people with different viewpoints can sit at a table together, and that, in that sense, we'd be a welcoming community. And if there's something that city government can do to promote that, I'd be all in.
Thank you. This next question I'll direct again to you, Rhett, for first response. How would you plan to keep in touch with your constituents if you were elected?
Well, thankfully, I'm within walking distance of all my constituents, and I like to walk, and my wife and I like to walk, and we're walking through the neighborhood all the time, not just campaigning, but just enjoying things. I like my constituents to know that they can meet me. They can meet me when I wasn't expecting to see them. They can say hello to me, and we can talk like that. But I also recognize, with the amount of residents we have, it's just not possible for me to literally listen to everybody all the time. So I'd like to find better ways to encourage communication and to respond to just about everything people bring up. I consider it a failure in my job as an alderman if there are concerns that were brought to me that I didn't address in a satisfactory or timely way. I feel like that would be the hallmark, and there may be ways to use modern telecommunications to do that. You know, maybe it's something people can go online and they can submit something and it would go directly to me or to the council, and we would know. Maybe it's really just doing a better job informing people of the existing ability to say, call Public Works and let them know what you're concerned about. But for most part, you know, I try to make myself as accessible as I can, and I like people. That's why I chose the profession I had. So yeah, I think there's modern ways to do it, but I think the old reliable is also very sufficient.
Thank you. Michael?
From when I announced my candidacy, I've made my phone number, my email available on my publications, my Facebook page, and my common theme is if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out anytime. Being retired, I have time. If someone wants to reach out, that's great. Reach out, send me a text, but then we're going to get together face-to-face and have a cup of coffee and talk about whatever the issue is that's of a concern. I'm also open to having listening sessions where District 2 residents can come in and talk, ask questions as a group. There's all kinds of different possibilities of doing, enhancing the communication within the district. But again, the key to all of that is when someone reaches out, is getting back to that person with good follow-up.
Thank you. And for the final question, I will direct this first to you, Michael. If your campaign is successful, how will your election positively impact the business community?
I'll continue to work with the businesses and build that growth and development that we've seen downtown, along with the other businesses that are within the district along Washington Street as well. There's very good vibes going on downtown. I know there's some business owners that, you know, have concerns about the parking. That's been an ongoing issue for more years than what I've been in the city. But I'll continue to work with those businesses, support the businesses, work hard within the bid district to make downtown a thriving place that it can be.
Thank you, Michael. Brett?
So prior to being a therapist, the longest tenure job I had was working for 8 years with the Center for Organizational Advancement. And we worked with community groups, school groups. We also worked with some major corporate groups like Harley Davidson and Northwestern Mutual and the Medical College of Wisconsin. And my job as a facilitator was to help teams work more effectively together, and by doing so, increase hopefully their profitability, but also just the harmonious workforce they would have. I'm not saying I'm going into to do that with our business leaders the way I did in my previous job, but I can say that having done that for as long as I have, I feel as if I can sort of diagnose and remedy some of the issues that are involved in whether it's competing businesses or the same, why teams aren't working well together. And so, as a District 2 alderman, I would be serving on the bid board, and I would be talking with a lot of the local business owners and trying to find solutions to navigate how we use our shared space and how we use our shared resources. Similarly, I'd want to be interfacing with the Downtown Association and talking about how, we can create a situation where, a rising tide lifts all boats, One simple example was brought up by one of my constituents. It'd be nice to have a public restroom downtown. I feel like that would be one thing that I would feel successful if I got, is that we had a nice public restroom downtown so that people would stay in the district and so that they wouldn't have to bother the local businesses with using their restrooms all the time. And then, of course, that would be maintained year-round. So, because not everybody loves porta potties.
Thank you. Now, we will conclude with closing remarks. And Michael, I would ask that you provide them first.
I've been a public servant my entire life, and that's my desire to serve as an alderman, is to continue that public service. Going into this campaign, I haven't changed who I am, and I won't change who I am to get a selected vote or to appease a certain group. What you see is what you get. I'm a hardworking, dedicated person who will work extremely hard. Being retired, I have a lot of time to put into this. That's why I'm involved in so many different things as I am. And I'm looking forward to serving the community as your next alderman.
Thank you. Brett?
When I have to say, when I decided to run for alderman, I feel like I was a bit more pessimistic than I have been since I've actually gotten an opportunity to talk to a lot of constituents and even interact with some of the folks who, even if they don't support my campaign, are supportive of just a candidate, trying to have a conversation with them. In that sense, I feel like a lot of my campaign is fueled by just hope and where West Bend could be. My best memories of West Bend were leading up to being 18. I grew up in this community, and usually when you're a kid, you have kind of fond memories of a lot of things. And having returned to the community, I'm trying to reconnect with some of that perspective, and I'm trying to share some of that perspective and hope with my kids. And when I think about the future of West Bend, if people wonder if I care or if I have the same concerns, I care because my wife and I have decided to raise our kids here, and we'll be here as they go through all the school and all the life they have here, and I'll be just as concerned as everyone else with how things turn out. And I feel like I'm humble enough to know I can't do it all myself. So I would appreciate as much response or as much help in tackling some of the problems we have as I can get. And hopefully I didn't just damn myself with that request, but I hope to hear from as many people as possible. Thanks.
Thank you. With that, this concludes our Common Council Alderperson Forum. We extend our sincere appreciation to the candidates for their participation, commend their commitments to serving our community, and wish them the best in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will now take a brief intermission as the candidates for the West Bend School District will prepare their seats.
means you have a live mic. Okay?
Okay, we will start the forum. We will now begin our forum for the West Bend School Board. Welcome to the three candidates running for the two available board seats. We have John Donaldson, Melanie Egot, did I say that right? Ergot, sorry, and Joe Pickler. Just a reminder of the format for the candidates. All candidates will be seated in alphabetical order on the dais. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening remarks and 2 minutes for closing remarks. The candidates will be asked questions, and the questions have not been provided to the candidates in advance. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. And questions will be asked in a rotating order for the candidates. With that, I will start with the opening remarks, and I would ask John for you to start.
All right. Well, thank you for having us tonight. Appreciate the time. My name is John Donaldson. Been on the board for the last 3 years. I'm a combat veteran, served one tour in Afghanistan in OEF4, through 2003, 2004. I have 3 kids in the district. I've been married for 20 years. Looking forward to continuing my work on the board with the referendum passed. Just looking forward to keeping accountability for the money's being spent, what's being introduced for repairs or work, and making sure that we're keeping accountable for the district and making sure that the taxpayer dollars are going to be spent as best as possible without wasteful spending. I've been pushing hard as much as I can to keep the administration honest on asking the hard questions and just making sure that, someone's there to ask a different question than anybody else will. Thank you.
Thank you. Melanie?
All right. I'd like to start by thanking the West Bend Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve our schools, students, and our community for the last 3 years, and I would be grateful for the opportunity to continue for another term. As a mom of 5 children, including a child with special needs, I understand firsthand the importance of ensuring that every student has the support they need to succeed. I don't take this responsibility lightly, and I am dedicated to advocating for policies that prioritize the well-being and success of every child in our district. Over the last 3 years, I've had the privilege of serving as the Curriculum Committee Chair, where I've worked closely with the Curriculum and Instruction Department to ensure our curriculum meets the needs of our students. One of the board accomplishments and goals that I had for my first term that I am most proud of is the work surrounding the book clubs. We created transparency and policies with age-appropriate thresholds in the areas of violence, sexual content, and profanity to give parents awareness and choice surrounding book selections for their children. For the past 2 years, I've also served as the school board clerk, helping to facilitate effective record keeping. Additionally, I've been the board liaison to the Washington County Head Start Policy Council, where I've had the opportunity to advocate for early childhood education. Throughout my time on the board, I've worked hard to listen to your concerns, engage with administrators, educators, and parents, and make decisions that benefit our students. As a parent, I know that the foundation of a great education begins with strong, supportive families and schools that meet the needs of our children. I promise to continue putting kids and families first in every decision that I make, and I am truly grateful for your trust and support during my first term and would be honored to continue serving our school district in the years to come. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve you again.
Thank you, Melanie. Joe?
Thank you to the West Bend Area Chamber and League of Women Voters for hosting this event. My name is Joe Pickler, and I'm a CPA with 2 decades of experience working in the nonprofit sector, including multiple debt issuances and construction projects. I've lived in the district for 6 years with my wife Erica, and we have 3 children attending school in the district, 1 at Silverbrook, 2 at Decorah. I grew up on a farm about 20 miles south of Eau Claire and 10 miles north of Mondovi, the small town where I attended school growing up. In addition to raising beef cattle and crops on our farm, my dad also owned a small construction company where I worked summers, middle school through college. This instilled in me a deep respect for jobs that involve skilled manual labor, as well as my own strong work ethic. Meanwhile, I took all of the accounting classes offered in my high school and quickly realized it was a profession for me. I went on to major in accounting and finance at UW Eau Claire, which is where I met Erica. After college, I worked as a financial statement auditor for 5 years in nonprofit healthcare, and followed that up with serving as the finance director for 7 years at a skilled nursing facility. We moved to West Bend in 2018 when I accepted the position of Vice President of Finance at Cedar Community. I continued in that role until last summer when I moved into the Director of Finance and Administration role at The Threshold. Although I'm not a native Bender, my wife and I chose West Bend as the place to settle down and raise our family, and this community has truly become our home. Since moving here, I've devoted a great deal of time and effort to the community, primarily through the United Way and Little League. With United Way, I've served as an emerging leader on the board of directors and as one of the chairs of the recently completed record-breaking 2024 campaign. With Little League, I've coached several seasons and currently serve as president of the Booster Board, which oversees the Bulldog teams and tournaments. I'm running for school board to give our taxpayers peace of mind that someone experienced in the very challenges our district will be facing over the next few years will be there to hold accountability, offer advice, and ask the right questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll start with the questions. First question will be directed to you, Melanie. How would you like to see the school board communicate with taxpayers and school families on referendum expenditures?
I think right now, currently, we do a lot of communication through email. I know there are, anybody can sign up for the district communications, whether you have students there right now or you're just a community member. So I think that would be a main way that we would communicate. I know in the past, we've also sent out mailers, surveys perhaps, but I think it's, always reaching out to the board members too is an option for community members if they're looking for specific details on things. So.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I think, use of the website, perhaps to post updates throughout the projects and, let the public know, are we keeping our projects on budget and on track, would be beneficial, as well as using emails out to families with updates, on how things are going. I believe communicating is, with the stakeholders, the taxpayers in our district is very important. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I'll just echo what Melanie said. I mean, we do send out mailers, we send out emails. Any parent in the district has access to, the portals from the school district. But, outside of that, if the mailers get tossed in the trash or the emails get sent to junk, it is hard to communicate sometimes, with the district, and the community members. So I don't know if there's better ways to do that. I mean, I'm always open to hear suggestions from the community, but, if we need to have kind of a video or something placed, by our administration and put out some updates here once in a while, that would probably be beneficial also, a little bit easier to understand, someone actually explaining it to you.
Thank you. For the next question, Joe, I'll direct this to you for first answer. Using the governance tools available to you as a school board member, how would you work to support and improve academic achievement?
Well, watching the recent assessment results from the winter, we are seeing improvement. But I would, govern through policy and, support any new initiatives with curriculum that would, be designed to improve our students' educational results. For instance, the new CKLA program in elementary school has been shown to be really beneficial with the test results. The teachers that I've spoken to have really been excited about it despite all the extra work it's been. And the kids are learning about a lot of, cool things like different times, periods in history.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, with some recent changes, with the board direction and our curriculum team, we have implemented some new pieces of curriculum. So I know those numbers have trended a little bit upwards. Obviously, we won't know the full results for probably 2 to 3 years just to actually get an actual baseline of what's going on. Obviously, the old curriculum that we had wasn't doing what it was intended to do, so that's why changes were made. And I am hopeful for the future of the education and the achievements moving forward. Yeah, I think just continuing to work with the teams across the board and just making sure the teachers not only have the time to study the new resources and everyone's on board for what it is. I mean, I know the last thing that we got implemented, the teachers were on a crunch for learning the new curriculum, learning the new materials, and they're the ones that are teaching it, so they have to understand it the most. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we're gonna have to work with in the future for new curriculum and new materials, is just giving the teachers the extra time to learn it.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yes, so I would plan to continue serving on the curriculum committee if I'm reelected. I think just supporting new curriculum, we've implemented some new things in ELA recently, and also there's some new math things coming down the pipeline here. So I think that those are going to help improve some of the academic test scores. I think also just continuing to support students that may need a little extra help on things. With the different standardized testing, it kind of helps identify kids that maybe need a little extra help. So just continuing to support that and supporting staff in this new curriculum items and just supporting those things.
Thank you. This next question, I will direct it to John to answer first. How should a school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden?
I guess that's probably a second question, but I'm kind of anticipating you're referring to some of the referendum debt questions and just kind of some of the time spent on achieving the referendum and getting it to pass. Obviously, I was the only one against it just because of the time we did spend on it. I don't think it was long enough. But with that said, I think that did kind of take away from some of the achievements and some of the academic side of things and achieving the goals, because obviously we're focused more on some of the referendum things and figuring out the plans for schools and where the money's gonna get spent and how much is gonna get spent and what's needed. So, being able to kind of balance the debt and making sure that the students are also getting a good education is a challenge. I mean, there's no crystal ball of what's the right answer for that thing, but, we do have parents that do reach out and, give us updates on stuff like that and what their kids are struggling with in the classrooms, and we're able to take those things also to the board and to administration and kind of get those things pushed through if they're needed to.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yes, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
How should a school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden?
Okay. So I think the way that you do that is by prioritizing the most important pieces of the education. Obviously, unfortunately, school is not free, right? And so the taxpayers do have to contribute to that. But I think if we are being responsible and stewarding that money in the appropriate way, that we can still provide a quality education without overburdening the taxpayers.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, so you have to start by looking at, what are those baseline expectations of what a district needs to provide. Obviously, there are, things that by law need to be done. And then, expand to where can you add value for students to help prepare them to be, our future employees, that, the companies in town, business leaders and consumers. So, we need to listen to the community and make sure that what we're offering at our schools is addressing those community needs. I will also say that working with a limited budget is what I do on a daily basis in the nonprofit world. So, perhaps there are areas of expenses that could be cut. I think with the closing of schools, with the referendum passing, that will result in some reduced cost, of course. I would also focus on trying to attract families, students, and teachers to our district to grow our tax revenue base, and that would be my focus with every decision made at the board level. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question I will direct it to Melanie for you to answer first. How should the school board address the issue of school safety?
I think we've done a lot actually with school safety over the last few years. We've created, so rubrics have been created for, to help with behavior issues with that type of safety, with students behaving safely in the building. And also with the referendum passing, there's going to be updates to all of the existing buildings, especially in regards to safety, with more secure entrances and updating other areas where safety issues were noted. And so I think just continuing with that is going to be a good thing moving forward.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, so, I kind of studied the rubrics as well, and I think that the district is doing a better job of being consistent in how they are disciplining kids who are showing those behavioral issues and, perhaps engaging in aggressive behavior toward other students. So I think that they're making good progress there. With the discipline, the factors such as severity of the act and whether it was premeditated or not are considered. And then, with building and even campus safety, I agree that the additional security measures that are coming because of the referendum dollars is a great step in the right direction. And then continuing to rely on and tap into our great relationship with the West Bend Police Department and other local law enforcement, and getting their advice on how best to keep our schools secure and safe.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I think I was one of the ones that started the conversation to that initiated the conversation to standardize the process for discipline in the school, because that's kind of a big thing for me is safety for the students, safety for the staff. I also initiated a conversation and had put on the agenda to potentially get another resource officer in the schools. Unfortunately, the police department wasn't able to give up another officer or fulfill the position due to probably many reasons. But, we'll continue to work on things like that in the future, depending on, if we have enough resources around the police department within the city or if we have enough revenue in the district to afford stuff like that. But yeah, with the referendum, we will be making lots of updates for school safety with doors, new entry points, camera systems, stuff like that, which will also assist the police department and the resource officers in our schools to be able to identify threats and to identify issues and disturbances in schools throughout the day a little bit easier, so.
Thank you. This next question, I will direct it to you, Joe, first. What specific policies would you support to make our schools a safer place for children to learn?
Well, I certainly support some of the things we just talked about, securing our entrances to our buildings so that, we know who is coming in, perhaps even making our, the whole campuses themselves more secure. At McLean, you can just drive right on to campus, where the kids are in the schoolyard, in the playground area. Decorah is going to be closing, but my kids go there, and the Eisenbahn Trail runs right behind their playground. So, it's be pretty easy to get through that. But and then again, just making sure that we are being consistent with how we are disciplining kids when they're showing behavioral issues. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Policies that I would support to make the school and the kids a little bit safer. We've talked about it in the past, and that's updating our metal detector policies, looking into avenues to introduce more metal detectors if we need to, working with the police department and law enforcement to kind of figure out some of those avenues, what's the best course of action, because there's a lot of things in place that go along with that, and that's, not singling people out and stuff like that. So policies have to be written about, who gets chosen for searches or whatever coming through. But, those are some things. I mean, I know the school's already implemented, some kind of detection, systems for bathrooms for vapes and stuff like that, which, is obviously a health issue for a lot of the students. And even if you don't use them, you're still exposed to some of those things that could be harmful if you have, some kind of thing against it. So, stuff like that is definitely needs to be updated to make sure that we're a little harsher on some of those standards, when students act out or, fall out of line with some of those rules and regulations within our schools. The punishment needs to be, something that somebody else won't want, if that happens to them. So, I would just say continue to improve the policies that we have to make sure that we have policies that fit the statutes around West Bend and keep schools safe.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yeah, so I think I would continue to support the policies we do already have around safety. This question is pretty similar to the last one, but just supporting safe schools, safe entryways, also the behavior, any policies surrounding student behavior and continuing to follow through on that, as well as, how we can incorporate the local police support and resource officers. So I think continuing with what we have.
Thank you. For this next question, I'll direct this to you, John, first. How can the West Bend School District better prepare students to become responsible citizens and community members?
Well, I think, there needs to be a joint effort on that side. We have a lot of good parents in the district and a lot of good teachers in the district. But what I've noticed in the past is communication isn't always isn't always at play for the better. You know, we have students that, you know, might get in trouble and maybe a parent doesn't even get called home. You know, to be able to support the school, the parents need to be involved. To be able to support the teachers, you know, you need to have a communication and just a friendly relationship with the parents in order for them to support you in disciplinary actions. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest keys.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yes, I think accountability is probably one of the biggest things. Having students be accountable for their own behavior, their schoolwork, just being a good citizen at school. Any consequences that they might receive, good or bad, would encourage them to continue being a good student and a good community member.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I think accountability is key as well. You know, making sure that we are holding them accountable to the standards for behavior that we have in our schools, which then translate into life. I think exposing them to things like volunteer opportunities with local nonprofits, you know, is another way to show them, you know, that there are people in our communities who have needs, and you know, if we have the means, we help those people. So I think just exposure to that would be beneficial.
Thank you. This next question, I will direct this to you first, Melanie. How should the West Bend School District address teacher retention?
I think keeping a positive work environment would be important for that. Also, maintaining competitive salaries and benefits. I know they do certain bonuses or stipends for people that maybe have some extra certifications, and that there's always things you can do to improve on your salary by adding on some of those different stipends. But also just maintaining a positive work environment. I feel like that is probably the most important piece, is because people want to be in a positive place when they're at work. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I think it starts with the tone that the board is setting. I mean, within any organization, you know, that really needs to come from the top down. And so, you know, board members that are a supportive voice and, you know, appreciate the teachers and the work they're doing. You know, I would agree is salaries, keeping them as competitive as possible, given our, you know, the level of funding that we have available to us is also very important. And, you know, soliciting their feedback to make sure that we are meeting their needs and providing a positive environment for them as well.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I think our district does pretty good at the retention side of things. You know, most of our tenured teachers aren't leaving. The retention piece that kind of falls into this question is really with newer teachers that start at the base level, you know, just new, fresh out of school, and you know, and some of those things we've worked on from a policy side, and I also got to sit in on recent negotiations, and we actually just moved up the new or the beginning teacher salary starting. So, you know, we're trying to keep up with the community, with the surrounding areas to keep to be competitive in the market with salaries. And I think the district does a pretty good job at keeping the salaries up. We have a lot of highly paid teachers, and the benefits that go along with it are very good. But, you know, the retention piece is always going to be on the newer teachers, because they can always find something else, maybe a couple counties over or a city over with the same pay, and maybe, you know, somebody that they know is over there. But, you know, we continue to bump that beginning salary up just a little bit to stay in the market and make sure we retain those younger teachers as long as we can.
Thank you. This next question, I will direct it to you first, Joe. If elected, how will you stay in touch with and accurately represent your constituents?
Yeah, I mean, I would always be, keep communication channels open. I would, invite questions to my Facebook page or email and, respond to those questions as they come in. Attend community events, chamber events, for instance, and, just be there to talk with anyone who has any particular issue with our schools that they want to talk about, as well as talking with our teachers and other district administration to kind of keep a pulse on how everything is going within the district.
Thank you. John?
Well, I'm very open and honest. Somebody asks me a question, I don't beat around the bush, I don't sugarcoat it for you. I'll give you the straight answer to what's going on with the district. I don't try to hide anything that the administration is doing, and I think, the people that have supported me before have appreciated that, because they know they can get an honest answer. I do take, counsel from previous board members and surrounding district board members, and I do reach out and talk to some of those members just to kind of get, the lay of the land if I have a question on some stuff, and then I can relay it to the people in the district if they have questions like that. So I don't just rely on my own knowledge. I do like to reach out and make sure I have a good, well-rounded answer for somebody if they reach out. But I try to respond to every email that I can, and I'd take any phone call or anything that somebody comes at me with. So.
All right, thank you. Melanie?
Yeah, I would also say email. The school board members all have their own email address. I always encourage people to reach out via email if they have concerns or questions. I think it's important to respond to people's emails, and I try to always do that. I do have 5 kids, though, so I sometimes get distracted and forget. So if that ever happens, feel free to email me back. And also social media updates. Sometimes on my Facebook page, I've updated on things if there's curriculum out for, they open it up at the library and at the Education Service Center when new curriculum is coming in, so the community members can come and see that as well. And I just encourage people to reach out if they're interested in keeping up with what's going on in the district. It's hard for me to know who wants to know what's going on if people don't reach out. So, but I'm always happy to talk to people if they are interested in updates or have questions or concerns.
Thank you. Now, for the next set of questions, these questions have been submitted by the West Bend High School students. So the first question, I'll direct it to you, John, first. Would you consider implementing a weighted GPA in high school?
I absolutely would. I've actually had conversations over this and think it would be fair to the students that do take AP classes and stuff like that. We do have kind of a process like that in place. Obviously, you can't be valedictorian unless you have a certain amount of AP classes, so it does kind of weight it that way. But I think those classes should weigh a little bit heavier than the standard class when it comes to a GPA. So I would definitely be in favor of that.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yeah, I'm not going to claim to be an expert. I guess I would need to know more information about what that actually looks like, but I would be in favor of supporting it if it was a good fit for the district and good for the students.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I'll be honest, that wasn't one I prepared for, but it would seem to make sense. I mean, I took AP classes in high school. I also actually took accounting classes at the technical college in high school. So, it would seem if you're taking a higher level class that perhaps your GPA should reflect that.
Thank you. For the next question, I'll direct this to you first, Melanie. What changes would you make to the budget regarding school lunches?
Well, it's my understanding that the school lunch program operates on its own budget. So it actually doesn't even come directly from the other funding. It's all supported based on the kids buying the lunches. And so I think it's pretty well self-supported. I guess I don't really see a need to change anything. If somebody had a specific concern, I would be open to hearing about that and making the necessary changes if that would be something that would be a good fit and the whole board would find productive.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, I feel like I need more specifics with this question, but, I would support providing healthy options to kids. I hope we're doing that already. And yeah, if it's its own budget, then I guess it's self-sustaining.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I'll just echo that. It is its own budget. They do, they run their own budget. It's not, it's separate from the standard budget that the school runs on, and whatever they have left over, that goes for their own equipment and stuff like that. So I wouldn't really make any changes. I think they're doing a really good job with that portion of that work, so.
All right, thank you. This next question, I'll direct this to you first, Joe. Is there a particular issue that motivates you to serve on the school board?
Well, initially, when I decided to run, it was the referendum passing and the realization that someone with my skill set and background would be beneficial to serve on the school board. So that was really what started it. As my campaign has evolved, the somewhat negative perspective or perception of our district by some members of our community has become, I would say, an equally significant issue for me. So, I believe that our district is full of amazing teachers who are truly invested in providing quality education to our students. And our district really does a great job of preparing students for their lives after graduation, ensuring that they're successful no matter what path they choose. So I just want to, continue to bring positive energy to the school board and the district, and ensure that we're making the best decisions for our kids in schools going forward.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, the referendum passing was a big reason why I decided to rerun. We've seen it too many times before, referendums pass, and too many things get added, or wasteful spending, like, light displays and this and that, things that are not needed or don't have any educational value. And I want to make sure that I'm there to actually question those things, and they just don't pass with, the majority vote without asking questions. I tend to ask questions. I tend to see a little bit of fear in people's eyes when they come to the podium and give a report, wondering what kind of questions I'm going to ask them and keep them accountable for. So I think that's good for our district to just make sure that we have, people that are on the board that are maybe a little bit feared of what's going to be asked, and what am I going to say wrong or report wrong that's going to be looking negative on my department. Like I said, I don't beat around the bush. I like to ask the hard questions that nobody else is asking, and most of the time, I feel like I'm the one that starts a lot of the conversations, so.
Thank you. Melanie?
Yeah, so the main reason I ran 3 years ago when I ran the first time was because one of my kiddos with special needs. The public school is just really the best place for kiddos that have extra needs. The funding is there. There's so many resources and opportunities for them. And so I just really wanted to get plugged in with the district and be involved in curriculum and all the things that go on here. And moving forward, that still continues to be a motivator for me. But also just, I'm interested in following through on the referendum. It was a big project that we've worked on the last few years, and I'd really like to continue to be a part of it moving forward as we complete these projects and kind of restructuring all the different school buildings. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. For the last question, it sort of will dovetail too into your closing remarks, so just be aware of that. This first will be directed to you, John. Why should people vote for you?
Why should people vote for me? I've stood the test. I did what I said I was going to do the first time. I haven't wavered from any stance that I said I was going to take, and I haven't backed down from any challenge that's been in my place. So I'm going to continue to fight for this district no matter what it is, if I'm on or not. And just because I got kids in the district and I got friends with kids in the district, so it's definitely valuable to continue the fight.
Thank you. Melanie?
Sorry. Yeah, I think I'm really relatable as a parent. I think a lot of people in the district are parents, and so I think as a mom, I feel like I'm relatable that way. I'm honest. I have integrity. I'm a responsible steward, and my heart is just for the kids, to serve the kids in this community and in this district.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, it should give all voters peace of mind to have someone with my background in accounting, including bond financing, construction projects, serving on the board. With the project, I was happy to hear the other day at the board meeting that they are considering an owner's rep. That is something I recommended to district administration. They provide an invaluable service for a pretty, inconsequential fee, and which often it pays for itself throughout the project. Beyond the projects, my skills will be helpful as the district continues to navigate the increasingly challenging operating budgets. And aside from my accounting skills, colleagues have commended my objective decision-making and calm leadership, especially through difficult transitions. If elected to the school board, I will serve as a supporting voice for our district and will help make decisions that will move us forward in a positive manner and make our communities proud of their schools.
Thank you. With that, that would conclude the questions, and we will move on to our closing remarks. And I will start with you, Melanie.
Thank you. I just want to thank everybody for your time and for this opportunity to speak with you today. As a candidate for the West Bend School Board, my priority is clear: putting kids and families first. I would love the opportunity to continue the important work we have started regarding facilities projects and right-sizing the district. These steps are crucial to ensuring we have the resources, space, and opportunities that every student deserves while still being fiscally responsible. Moving forward, I would be happy to continue my work on the Curriculum Committee and Head Start Policy Council to ensure our students are receiving the best education possible, as well as having a keen eye on the educational materials put into the hands and minds of our kids. I want to be a voice and advocate for our community members and families, and I am committed to being reasonable, level-headed, and relatable in my approach, always working to find the best solutions for our students and families. I would be honored to have your support and serve as your advocate on the West Bend School Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
Yeah, so again, I have a very clear skill set and years of proven leadership experience that would be beneficial to our district in the coming years. I'll consider community input, especially from current district stakeholders, and will help the board make decisions that will move our district forward in a positive manner. I'm going to close my remarks not with my own words, but by relaying some of the thoughts others have shared about their experience with me. So from Amanda Novotny, who works at West Bend Insurance, Joe's passion for improving his community is evident. Dominic Ladd, also at West Bend Insurance, his dedication to seeing things through and making sure the organizations he represents make the right decisions is unparalleled. From Jim D'Angelo, president of West Bend Little League, Joe's approach to service is all in. He doesn't just show up, he gives everything he has to ensure success. And from my boss, Michael Hoffman at The Threshold, perhaps one of Joe's most admirable qualities is his ability to engage in meaningful conversation, even when viewpoints differ, and find common ground. So if these are the types of qualities and the other qualities you've heard about tonight are what you would like to see in your school board, I ask you to vote for me, Joe Pickler, on or prior to April 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I look forward to working with the district, continuing my work on the policy committee, continuing my work with the referendum, and making sure that the district is well spoken for on the board. I mean, we continue to see offsetting votes, or out of balance votes that doesn't represent the community well. I am one of the voices on there that does represent a majority of this community. I mean, the last referendum question for the referendum won 57% to 43%, and that's 43%. That's 43% of the board that should have been representing the community that didn't. I was one of what should have been 3 votes. So someone like me has continued to be needed on the board, and I think someone like me continues to ask the questions that a lot of people won't. I look forward to serving everybody and continue in the next 3 years. Appreciate it.
Thank you. With that, that concludes our 2025 candidate forum. On behalf of the West Bend Area Chamber of Commerce, We extend our sincere gratitude to the City of West Bend Community Television, and the League of Women Voters of Ozaki and Washington County for their partnership in making this forum possible. We also thank our candidates for participating and commend their dedication to public service. We wish them the best on the upcoming election on April 1st. To our audience, we encourage you to become informed about your entire ballot and to make your choice and voice heard in the general election on Tuesday, April 1st. A valuable resource for learning more about the candidates is vote411.org. That's vote411.org, a national voter guide provided by the League of Women Voters with participation from our local chapter. And most importantly, please go out and vote and exercise your rights. Thank you and good night.